Welcome to Politically Social. I'm Giovanni Gallucci. This is the show where we break down the social media and the digital strategy behind politics. Campaigns, candidates, causes, all of it, decoded by what they actually do on the feed. I've spent 2 decades building brands on social. I've got a political science degree and a lifelong obsession with this stuff. So on Sunday mornings, we're going to look at who in politics is actually good at this, who's faking it, and what the rest of us can steal. Fair warning, I call it like I see it, and I see it from the right. That's the lens. The craft is the subject. Today, a freshman congressman who figured out the game faster than members 3 times his age, Brandon Gill. Let's set the table. Brandon Gill represents the 26th District of Texas. He's 31 years old, which makes him the youngest Republican in Congress. A freshman who got to Washington in 2025. Dartmouth degree. And here's the detail that matters most for our purposes. Before he ever ran for anything, he founded a media company, the DC Inquirer, back in 2022. On top of that, he married into the D'Souza family. His wife, Danielle D'Souza Gill, is a conservative author and broadcaster with around 270,000 followers of her own and a combined audience well north of 2 million. Her father is Dinesh D'Souza. So when you look at Gill's social media and think, this guy is unusually fluent for a freshman, understand that it's not an accident. He didn't stumble into being good at media. He came from media. He married into more of it. This is a man who understood the product before he understood the politics, and you can feel that in everything he posts. Now the footprint. Across his platforms, he's sitting on a combined following north of 400,000, which is enormous for a first-termer. And he runs it smart, on 2 tracks. There's the personal account, Real Brandon Gill, where you get the husband, the dad, the Texan, the personality. And there's the official congressional account, where the legislative work lives. That separation matters. The personal account is where people fall in love with the guy. The official account is where they're reminded he's actually doing the job. Most politicians smash those 2 things into one muddy feed and wonder why nobody connects. Gill keeps the human and the institutional in their own lanes. And the content itself runs on 3 rails. Rail 1, the viral hearing clips, the fiery committee questioning that gets chopped into short form and blasted everywhere. We'll come back to those because that's the engine. Rail 2, the family and district content, the stuff that makes a 31-year-old congressman feel like your neighbor instead of a politician. Rail 3, message discipline. He hammers the same small set of themes over and over: border, immigration, election integrity, government oversight, America first on repeat. He isn't trying to have 40 opinions, he's trying to own 4. That's not a limitation, that's a strategy, and it's one almost nobody has the discipline to run. And sit with that discipline for a second, because it's the most underrated move he makes. Most politicians treat their feed like a diary. Whatever they thought about today goes up. That trains the audience to expect noise, and noise doesn't compound. Gill treats his feed like a brand with 4 product lines. Every post reinforces one of the same 4 ideas, so each one makes the last one stronger. By the 40th border post, the word border and his face are welded together in your head. That's not him being repetitive, that's him building equity. Repetition feels boring to the person making it, and it feels like clarity to the person watching it. Brands win on repetition. Politicians almost always quit the message right when it's finally starting to land. Okay, the standout move. This is the thing I want every campaign and every cause listening to write down and tape to the wall. Brandon Gill treats a congressional hearing like a film set. He understands something most members of Congress never figure out their entire careers. The hearing isn't the event. The clip is the event. The room with the witnesses and the gavel, that's just the studio where he shoots the content. Think about what that means in practice. When most members get 5 minutes of questioning time, they ramble, they read a staffer's notes, they try to look senatorial. When Gill gets 5 minutes, he's building a 40-second video. He knows where the sharp exchange is going to come from. He sets it up, he delivers the line that travels, and the camera does the rest. He's not hoping a moment happens. He's manufacturing one. That's a content production system disguised as governance, and I mean that as a compliment to the craft. And then the clip enters a flywheel. which is the part that really makes it hum. The hearing moment goes up on social, it racks up views. Because it's getting traction, conservative media picks it up. Fox, Newsmax, the whole ecosystem. He goes on, does the hit, and that television appearance becomes another clip, which goes back onto social, which feeds the next round. Owned media to social to earned media and back to social. Round and round. Most politicians are waiting by the phone hoping a producer calls. Gil built a machine that makes the producers call him. And remember, he owns a media outlet and married into a media dynasty, so he's not renting that distribution, he's wired into it. Here's why this is the lesson and not just a story about one guy. You don't need a congressional seat to run this play. Every business, every cause, every candidate has a version of the hearing. It's whatever venue gives you a chance to create a shareable moment on purpose. A city council meeting, a conference panel, a product launch, a customer story. The mistake everybody makes is treating those moments as the finish line. Gil treats them as the raw material. The event is just where you go to harvest the clip. And watch how deliberate the construction is. A good Gil hearing clip isn't a random flare-up. There's a setup question that looks innocent, there's the moment he springs the trap, and there's a closing line built to be the caption. Beginning, middle, payoff, in under a minute. That's screenwriting, not improv. The witness thinks they're in a hearing. He knows he's shooting a short film with a guaranteed antagonist who showed up for free. The real genius is that the format hides the effort. It looks spontaneous, which is exactly why it travels. Because nothing kills a political clip faster than looking staged. Now the part where I actually do my job instead of just handing the man a trophy. Because if all I do is flatter conservatives, I'm useless to you, and you should turn this off. So let me coach my own side for a minute. Gil's social media has a ceiling, and it's built into the very thing that made him. He's almost entirely a conflict clip operator. The brand is the fiery exchange, the torching, the takedown. And that content is fantastic at one job: reach inside the base. The problem is that the dunk is the most copyable format in all of politics. There are 50 other freshmen right now studying his exact playbook and running it themselves. When everybody's torching somebody in a hearing, no single torching is special anymore. The format commoditizes. So his real risk isn't a bad poll. It's becoming one more angry guy in a feed full of angry guys. 3 things would push him to the next level. First, balance the fight content with build content. Right now, you mostly know what Brandon Gil is against. You know a lot less about what he's actually for. The wins, the solutions, the bills that became law. Fight content gets the reach, but build content gets the respect. And respect is what survives a news cycle. Here's the test I'd give him. If I scrolled your feed for 5 minutes, could I name one thing you built, one win you delivered for the 26th district, and not just one person you owned in a hearing? Right now, for a lot of his audience, the answer is no, and that's a fixable problem. A single monthly "we got this done" post, concrete, local, receipts attached, would do more for his long-term brand than 10 more takedowns. The takedown rents you attention. The delivery buys you loyalty. Second, two-way community. His feed is mostly broadcast, him talking at people. The politicians who build the most durable bases actually engage, they reply, they pull constituents into the story. That's harder to fake and harder for a rival to copy. Third, a signature that isn't just the format. The hearing clip is a tactic, not a moat. He needs a recurring thing that's unmistakably his, so that even when the dunk goes stale, the audience stays for him. So here's the takeaway, and it works whether you're running for Congress or running a tamale company. 1. Find your hearing, the venue where you can manufacture a shareable moment on purpose, and start showing up there like it's a studio. 2. Treat the clip as the product, not the byproduct. Plan the moment backward from the 40-second video you want. 3. Run message discipline. Pick 3 or 4 themes and own them instead of chasing 40. 4. Build the flywheel. Point your own channels, your social, and any earned media you can get at each other so they feed the loop. And 5, the honest one, don't let the fight be your whole diet. Reach without respect is a sugar high. Brandon Gil has built one of the sharpest reach machines in the freshman class. The open question is whether he builds the respect to match it. One more thing before we wrap. The reason I led with his media background isn't trivia. It's the whole lesson. Gil is good at this because he understood, before he ever held office, that politics is now a content business with a voting component bolted on. The people winning online decided the feed was the job, not a side effect of the job. The ones who don't keep handing social to the youngest person in the office like it's a chore, and then they wonder why a 31-year-old from Texas is lapping them. That's the debut of Politically Social. Brandon Gill, a media native operator who treats the hearing room like a set, runs a flywheel most members would kill for, and now has to decide whether he's an act or an institution. None of that's about being right or left. It's about understanding that in modern politics, the clip is the campaign. I'm Giovanni Gallucci. Next Sunday, I'll have a co-host in the chair and a fresh name on the table. Until then, campaigns, decoded by their social media. See you then.